Stroke risk after 60 can begin silently while you're asleep. Stroke risk after 60 doesn't always come from sugar or salt. Sometimes it comes from the healthy snacks you trust most. Have you ever eaten nuts before bed? Let me ask you something that most people never think about until it's too late. Have you ever gone to bed feeling completely fine, but woken up the next morning with something wrong? Maybe your arm didn't move quite right, or your words came out strangely, or worse, you looked at someone you love and couldn't remember their name. It's terrifying, it's confusing, and it often happens without any warning at all. A patient of mine once said, "Doctor, I just closed my eyes for the night, and when I opened them, my world had changed." He had suffered what we call a silent stroke in his sleep. No pain, no sign, just damage done quietly while the rest of the world was resting. And here's what stunned me. The trigger wasn't sugar, it wasn't smoking, it wasn't even stress. It was a handful of nuts. Yes, nuts. The kind he'd been told were healthy for years, the kind he trusted. Did you know that eating just one handful of the wrong nuts at night could trigger a silent stroke while you sleep? If you eat these 5 nuts at the wrong time, your brain could pay the price. Let me show you how to protect your brain before one small habit causes a lifetime of damage. Why nighttime is so dangerous for the aging brain. Let me explain something I wish every person over 60 knew. You see, most people try to eat well during the day. They watch their portions, skip dessert, maybe go for a walk after dinner. But few realize that nighttime, not daytime, is when the real danger begins to brew, especially for your brain. Here's why. As you fall asleep, your blood pressure doesn't stay calm like it used to when you were younger. It rises and falls in sharp waves, especially between 3 to 5 a.m., which happens to be the brain's most vulnerable window. Meanwhile, your body becomes slightly dehydrated. That's normal. You're not drinking water, you're not moving much, and your kidneys slow down. So your blood starts to thicken, not dangerously so on its own, but enough to become sluggish. Now imagine this. Your arteries, no longer as flexible as they once were, are like old garden hoses, brittle, stiff, and worn with time. When thick blood is forced through these fragile tubes under surging pressure, something has to give. Sometimes, it's a tiny clot forming. Other times, it's a small blood vessel rupturing. And the worst part? You sleep through all of it. 1. Brazil nuts. When healthy snacks become silent threats. Now, let's go back to those nuts. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to wake you up before something serious happens. The truth is, certain nuts, when eaten at the wrong time, can quietly raise your stroke risk, especially if you're over 60. Let's take Brazil nuts. They're rich in selenium, a mineral your body needs, but only in tiny amounts. Just 2 Brazil nuts can give you 400% of the daily recommended dose. Now, if you eat them in the morning, your body has all day to process, detox, and balance out the excess. But at night, your detox systems slow down. And selenium? It's not water-soluble like vitamin C. It doesn't get flushed out easily. Instead, it starts building up in your liver, blood, even your brain. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that excess selenium, especially in seniors with high blood pressure or kidney issues, significantly increased stroke risk. And what shocked me most was this. Most of my older patients already take multivitamins containing selenium. Then they add Brazil nuts before bed because they heard it's good for the heart. I call that risk stacked on top of risk. 2. Salted almonds, the sodium. You didn't see. Coming another silent troublemaker? Salted almonds. Almonds are often praised for being heart-healthy, and they are when they're raw and unsalted. But roasted almonds, especially the salted kind, contain surprising amounts of sodium. A small handful? That's over 200 milligrams. That might not sound like much until you realize that for older adults, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 1,500 milligrams per day. Here's what happens when your aging body gets a sudden salt hit before bed. Salt holds onto water. Water increases blood volume. More volume means more pressure on fragile arteries. And your body, already working hard just to rest, gets no warning. You feel nothing. But inside your brain, tiny vessels may already be leaking, swelling, or forming tiny clots. I had a patient once. She never touched chips or fast food, but every night, while watching her favorite show, she munched on a healthy mix of salted almonds. She never connected her nightly snack to her rising blood pressure. Until the morning, she couldn't feel her right foot. At first, she thought it had fallen asleep, but the numbness didn't go away. Then came the dizziness, a subtle slur in her speech. She ended up in the ER. The diagnosis, a minor stroke, caused by a clot in one of the small arteries deep inside her brain. She was lucky. It could have been worse. But she was also shocked. "It was just almonds," she said. "I thought I was doing something good for myself." That's the hard part. We make choices with good intentions. We try to replace the bad with something better, but without realizing how a simple habit can turn harmful, especially when we're older. Salted almonds aren't poison, but for an aging heart and brain, even small amounts of hidden sodium at the wrong time, like late at night, can quietly raise the stakes. Since then, she switched to a few raw, unsalted almonds in the afternoon and added a banana or slice of avocado at night instead. Something gentle. Something that calms the body rather than challenging it. Sometimes protecting your health isn't about giving things up. It's about knowing when and how to enjoy them and recognizing that even healthy foods carry hidden stories. 3. Hidden dangers in smooth cashews. Let's talk about cashews. They're soft, comforting, and seem harmless. Especially in the evening, they feel like a healthy choice. No sugar, no crunch, no guilt. But here's the hidden problem: oxalates. Cashews are rich in oxalates, natural compounds found in many plant foods. For young people with strong kidneys, they're usually no big deal. But in older adults, oxalates can combine with calcium and form tiny crystals. Now imagine those crystals traveling through your blood vessels and kidneys at night when your body is slowing down, not flushing fluids as efficiently, and your digestion is more sluggish. These oxalate crystals don't just sit quietly. They scratch, irritate, and silently build inflammation. And here's the twist. Nighttime is when your kidneys rest and repair. But when you eat cashews late, you're waking them up with extra work. You're giving your body more oxalate to handle during its most vulnerable hours. I once saw this in a patient who thought cashews were the perfect substitute for her evening cookies. Every night, around 9 p.m., she'd grab a handful as she watched the news. She was proud to kick sugar, but didn't realize she had invited another silent threat in. Her lab tests later showed early signs of kidney stress. Her blood became thicker. Inflammation markers started creeping up. She had no pain, no symptoms. But one morning, her balance just felt off. She didn't trip. Her brain did. It turns out that slow, nighttime inflammation from repeated habits can wear down not just your kidneys, but also your brain's vascular health. Cashews aren't the enemy, but timing and quantity matter more than we think, especially after 60. So if you enjoy cashews, try having them in the daytime, when your body is better equipped to handle them. and give your kidneys and your brain the quiet night they deserve. 4. Salted sunflower seeds, the hidden hemorrhage risk. You've probably seen sunflower seeds as a harmless little snack, crunchy, fun to eat, something you grab while watching TV or chatting on the porch. But I want you to take a closer look. Sunflower seeds, especially the salted, roasted ones, come with a dangerous trio one that most seniors are never warned about. First, the salt. A handful can have more sodium than a bag of chips. And because they're small and addictive, you often eat more than you realize 3, even 4 handfuls before you stop. Second, they're loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. Now, don't get me wrong, your body needs omega-6s in balance with omega-3s. But the modern American diet is already flooded with omega-6s from processed oils, snack foods, and dressings. Too much tips the scale toward inflammation, which puts pressure on blood vessels already worn with age. And third, many sunflower seeds are roasted in cheap industrial oils. That raises something we call oxidative stress, basically. It's your cells under attack. In your brain, that's the last thing you want, especially while you're sleeping. I had one patient, a kind man in his late 60s who loved watching late-night baseball. He'd sit with a bag of sunflower seeds, popping them one by one like popcorn. He wasn't overweight. He didn't smoke. But he came in with early signs of small vessel disease, the kind that slowly chips away at memory, speech, and balance. He told me, "Doc, I thought seeds were healthy." And they can be. But not these, not that late, and not in that quantity. 5. Walnuts, brain food. With a time limit. Now, let's talk about walnuts. They've earned a solid reputation as a brain food, and rightly so. They're rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and polyphenols that protect the mind from aging. But here's something we rarely talk about: timing. Walnuts are rich in healthy fats, and fats take longer to digest. When you eat walnuts at night, especially within 2 hours of bedtime, your body redirects blood flow to your stomach just when your brain needs it for overnight repair. Worse yet, digesting fats raises cortisol, the stress hormone. That disrupts your deep sleep, which is exactly when the brain clears toxins, consolidates memory, and balances blood pressure. One of my patients, a retired school teacher, loved mixing walnuts into yogurt as a bedtime snack. She said it helped her sleep with something in the belly. But after months of poor sleep and foggy mornings, we ran a sleep study. It showed fragmented deep sleep and elevated nighttime cortisol. We changed her routine, moved the walnuts to breakfast. 2 weeks later, her sleep improved. Her energy returned. And most importantly, she remembered her granddaughter's birthday again. You see, a good food at the wrong time becomes the wrong food. Why the aging body changes everything. So by now, you might be wondering, why does the body become so fragile at night? Why are strokes more likely during sleep? And why do healthy snacks suddenly become dangerous? Let's step back and take a deeper look. After age 60, 3 major changes quietly take place inside the body. 1. Your blood pressure rhythm breaks down. In youth, blood pressure dips at night and rises gently in the morning. In older adults, that rhythm becomes unpredictable. Sudden spikes can happen between 3 and 5 a.m., a window when the brain is especially vulnerable. 2. Your blood thickens. This happens naturally during sleep due to less movement, reduced kidney function, and slight dehydration. And when you add salty or fatty snacks to the mix, the blood becomes even slower, stickier, and more prone to clot. 3. Your arteries stiffen, just like old rubber tubing that's been left in the sun too long. They lose elasticity and become fragile. One small surge of pressure from salt, fat, or inflammation, and something gives. Sometimes it's a clot, sometimes a tiny tear, sometimes a bleed, and all this while you sleep. The quiet stroke that steals your tomorrow. Here's something most people never hear from their doctor. Not all strokes are big. Not all strokes knock you down instantly. Some strokes are silent, so small you don't even feel them. They build clot by clot, pressure spike by pressure spike, salt intake by salt intake, until one day the signs show up in your life. You forget where you put the car keys. You stumble while walking in a straight line. You search for words you've known for decades. A silent stroke doesn't steal your life. It steals your clarity, your identity, your joy. I've watched far too many strong, intelligent people lose pieces of themselves, not from disease, but from habits that no one told them were dangerous. Not from what they ate, but when they ate it, and how their aging body could no longer handle it the same way. So what should you do? Here's the good news. You don't have to give up your favorite nuts. You don't need to live in fear. You just need to realign your habits with your body's new reality. Start by asking yourself, is this food supporting my body while I sleep or stressing it out? Eat your nuts in the morning or early afternoon when your digestion is strong and your blood is flowing steadily. Avoid eating within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, especially salty or fatty snacks. If you enjoy seeds like chia or flax, soak them first. It makes them easier to digest and reduces compounds like oxalates. Choose raw or dry roasted nuts, no added salt, no honey glazes, no smoked mixes. And please hydrate. I know many of you avoid drinking in the evening to reduce nighttime trips to the bathroom. But even mild dehydration at night can make your blood thicker, raising stroke risk. Talk to your doctor about how to balance hydration and bladder control. There are ways to manage both. Your brain deserves rest, not battle. Think of your brain like a repair shop at night. When you sleep, it goes to work, clearing toxins, repairing cells, forming memories, and maintaining balance. But when you feed your body the wrong things at the wrong time, especially after 60, you force your brain to fight a battle instead of getting rest. You interrupt its rhythm. You distract it with digestion. You push pressure through pipes that are already worn. One small habit, one big difference. You've been told your whole life that nuts are healthy. And they are. But now, your body isn't 30 anymore. Your blood isn't as thin. Your arteries aren't as elastic. Your brain doesn't bounce back as quickly. So even one small change, like a handful of the wrong nuts at the wrong time, can ripple into something far greater. The fix isn't hard. It's about respecting the stage of life you're in, listening to the body you have now, and choosing to live in harmony with it. That's what aging well really means. If this message spoke to you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you love. Maybe it reminded you of someone, a friend, a sibling, your spouse, someone who snacks late at night, thinking it's harmless. Someone who still believes that what was healthy at 30 still works the same at 70. Share this video with them, because the truth is, a little knowledge today could save a lot of pain tomorrow. One small conversation today could save a lifetime of regret. And if you're new here, welcome. This isn't a place of fear. It's a space for truth, for wisdom, for people like you who want to live smarter, age stronger, and protect the years ahead. So if this message opened your eyes even a little, don't scroll away in silence. Click that subscribe button. Join thousands of others who believe that aging is not a decline, but the beginning of something deeper, richer, and more powerful. Because your brain, your heart, your story, They deserve more time. Your life still has so much ahead. Let's protect your brain while there's still time.